My wife walked in, shaking, and said, "Promise me you won't answer the door." Seconds later, loud knocking echoed through the house. I opened it anyway, and found a man holding a folder. He looked past me and said, "Tell your husband who I am. Or I will." It was a Thursday. I'd just gotten home from my shift at the machine shop in Dayton. I remember because the place reeked of oil that day and I couldn't wash the smell off my hands no matter how many times I scrubbed. Jenna had called me earlier, said she'd be late picking up dinner, told me to start without her if I got hungry. I figured she was just running late at work. She handled sales for some mid-size insurance firm across town, always glued to her phone, always on edge about something. Around 6:15, I was slouched on the couch watching some old episode of Cops, half asleep. Then the front door opened fast, too fast. Jenna rushed in, hair a mess, face white, her hands trembling. Not just the usual bad day kind of nervous. She looked scared. The kind of scared that sits deep in your bones. She closed the door behind her like someone was chasing her, locked it, and turned to me. Her eyes were wide. "Promise me you won't answer the door," she said. "What?" "Promise me, Mike. I need you to promise. No matter what you hear, don't open it." She stood there, shaking like she'd seen a ghost. My stomach twisted. "What's going on?" I asked. "I just need you to trust me," she said. "Please." And then it came. The knock. Not polite. Not casual. It was slow. Heavy. Measured. 3 loud thuds. It sounded like a fist, not a hand. I looked at her. "Is someone following you?" She didn't answer. She looked at the door like it might break down any second. I got up. She grabbed my arm. "Please don't." But I walked over. I wasn't about to be some scared little kid hiding in my own home. I opened the door. And there he was. Guy looked maybe mid-40s. Clean cut. Calm. He wore a black windbreaker, jeans, and sneakers like he'd walked here. Not a scratch on him, not a speck of sweat. He looked me in the eye but then shifted his gaze past me, right at Jenna. He didn't smile. Didn't blink. He raised the manila folder just a little and said, "Tell your husband who I am. Or I will." I stepped forward. "Who the hell are you?" But he wasn't talking to me. "Tell him," he said again, this time more firm. "Now." Jenna didn't move. Her whole body had gone stiff. I turned to her. "What's going on?" She didn't speak. The man looked back at me, then held out the folder. "I'm not here to hurt anyone. But he deserves the truth." I didn't take it at first. I was still trying to figure out what kind of situation this was. Was this guy blackmailing her? An affair? Something worse? I finally took the folder. Inside were photos. Documents. Receipts. I flipped through slowly, my hands getting cold. It was all about Jenna. But not the Jenna I knew. And then I saw the first photo that made me stop breathing. It was her. In a hotel room. Sitting on the edge of a bed. Next to him. The same guy now standing at my front door. I stared at the photo in my hand, not believing what I was seeing. Jenna. My wife. Sitting on a hotel bed, side by side with the man now standing in front of me. She wasn't smiling. But her body language said everything. She was leaning into him. Close. Comfortable. My heart was pounding. I felt my throat go dry. The folder suddenly felt heavier in my hands. "You have 5 minutes," the man said. "Then I'll say it myself." I turned back to Jenna. She still hadn't moved. Her lips were slightly parted like she wanted to speak but couldn't figure out how. I lost my patience. "Jenna! What the hell is this?" She shook her head slowly. "It's not what you think." I almost laughed. "Then explain it." "Because I'm looking at you with this guy. In a room. On a bed. And he shows up to my house with this folder full of, what? Evidence?" She finally stepped forward. "His name is Nate. Yeah, the guy muttered. Tell him who I am, Jenna. She took a breath, her hands clenched into fists. He's my ex. I looked between them. Ex what? Ex-boyfriend? Ex-husband? She swallowed. Ex-fiancé. That word hit me hard. I didn't even know she'd been engaged before. And you've been seeing him behind my back? I asked. No, she said quickly. It's not like that. I ran into him a few months ago. I didn't tell you because I thought it wouldn't mean anything. I just needed to see how I felt. It was just to get closure. Closure, I repeated. In a hotel room. It didn't go how I planned, she said. It was one mistake. That's all. But Nate stepped in. One mistake? Tell him about Chicago. Tell him about the weekend in Columbus. Tell him you were planning to leave him after your lease ended. Jenna's face turned bright red. Shut up. You were going to leave me? I asked quietly. She didn't answer. Nate smiled bitterly. She used me. Told me she was getting out of this marriage, that it was already over. But then she disappeared. Blocked my number. Changed everything. He looked right at me. She lied to both of us. Jenna started to cry, but I wasn't moved. Not this time. So what, this is revenge? I asked Nate. He shrugged. I'm not proud of it. But I figured you should know who you married. I looked at the photos again. There were dates and timestamps. Receipts from hotel stays, flights, even meals. It wasn't one time. It was months. I couldn't think straight. I walked into the kitchen and sat down. Jenna followed, still crying, trying to talk, but I didn't want to hear it. Not yet. There was a sick feeling growing in my gut. The kind of feeling that tells you the life you thought you had just fell apart in front of your eyes. And somehow, you were the last to know. I sat there at the kitchen table, the folder spread open in front of me, and I felt like the floor was about to give out. Everything inside me was clenching, like my body didn't know what to do with the weight of what I'd just learned. Jenna paced the floor in front of me, crying but not saying much. Then she stopped, grabbed the edge of the table, and said something that chilled me worse than anything yet. There's more. I looked up at her. You mean more than cheating? More than lying to me for God knows how long? She nodded slowly. Her voice cracked. Yes. And you're going to hate me for it. I already do. She flinched like I'd slapped her, but I didn't care anymore. She sat down across from me and looked down at her hands. Do you remember when we almost lost the house last year? She asked. I nodded. How could I forget? The loan we didn't apply for, the collections notice I found shoved in a drawer, and Jenna acting like it was all some clerical mistake. I said it was a mix-up, she continued. But it wasn't. I stared at her, my heart starting to pound again. I took out a line of credit in your name. What? I forged your signature. I needed the money to cover some things. I thought I'd pay it back before you ever found out. I stood up. Are you serious right now? She nodded, tears running down her face. I was scared. I was trying to help my sister, and then Nate came back into the picture, and I thought I could fix everything without telling you. Jesus Christ, Jenna. There's more, Nate said from the hallway, stepping closer. She didn't just forge your name. She listed me as the co-signer. I turned to him. What? He tossed another paper onto the table, an old bank form. My name. His name. Her handwriting. I didn't know he was going to show up like this, Jenna said, her voice shaking. I just needed help, and I thought I could control it. Nate's jaw tightened. She took out 10 grand. Told me it was to cover her dying father's hospital bills. My dad's not even sick, I said, staring at her. I know, Nate said quietly. Jenna looked down. I'm sorry. I was spinning. Not only had she cheated on me for months, but she had dragged me into financial fraud, stolen from me, lied to both of us, and used our names like they meant nothing. I'm calling the bank, I said. Then a lawyer. You're going to explain every single thing to them. And after that, you're out of this house. No, she whispered. No? I snapped. You think you get a vote in this? I mean, you don't understand, she said. There's something else. If you go to the cops, it won't just be me. I stopped. What are you talking about? She hesitated. I used your mom's information too. For the second card. I couldn't breathe. I felt like the room had closed in on me. Jenna's voice sounded far away, like she was underwater. My mom! My mom! You used my mother's info? I said, my voice low. Jenna couldn't even look me in the eyes. She had good credit, she mumbled. I didn't think it would go this far. I slammed my hand on the table so hard it rattled the folder and everything in it. You stole from me. You used me. You cheated. You lied. And now you're dragging my mother into this? I saw something shift in Nate's face too. He looked as shocked as I was. Maybe he didn't know how deep it all went. I stood up and walked toward the door. I had to think. I needed air. But the second I stepped out onto the porch, I knew what I had to do. I didn't call the bank. Not yet. I called my mom first. Told her everything. She didn't say much. Just one word. Handle it. So I did. Underscore 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 underscore. The next morning, I went to the police. I brought the folder. Every receipt. Every photo. Every forged document. I gave them Jenna's name. Nate's too, just to cover all the angles. But Nate had already talked to them. He'd gone in that same night after leaving my place. Turns out, he'd found out 2 weeks earlier about the stolen loan in his name, and he was pissed. That made things easier. While the cops did their thing, I went to the bank, filed fraud claims, and froze every joint account Jenna and I had. I also called a locksmith and changed every lock in the house. When she came home from work 2 days later, she found her things boxed up on the porch. She begged. She cried. She screamed. But I didn't say a word. I watched from the front window. Just watched her fall apart. A week later, the police arrested her at her sister's apartment. Forgery, identity theft, financial fraud. They said the damage totaled over $30,000. Because she used my mom's identity too, that pushed the charges harder. Nate wasn't off the hook either. He'd helped open the second card, even if he didn't know the full story. They hit him with conspiracy. Not as bad as Jenna, but enough to ruin his clean little life. It all made the local news. Jenna in cuffs, face down, crying. I saved the article. Not because I was proud, because I needed the reminder. But here's the part that'll stick with me. I wasn't perfect. I didn't notice the signs. I ignored my gut for months. I trusted someone who made me feel loved but left me empty. I helped build a life with someone who used that life like it was a game to be played. So yeah? Maybe I wasn't the villain in this story. But I wasn't the hero either. I just made sure everyone got what they earned. Especially her.